Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to write now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right.
Welcome to another daily live writing motivation stream. I'm Kauffman. I'm on a mission to help solve all the writing problems with the process, lifestyle, and mindset that it takes to be an author. Because let's face it, writing a book is awesome and it's difficult. And there's highs and lows, and doing it with a community makes all the difference. So come join us, because today we're going to be doing not one, not two, but 3 writing sprints. So we're going to be trying to make some progress. This is kind of like my writing start for the week, since yesterday we were really announcing the book club. I know I'm super stoked to get into it, and hopefully I'm challenging myself. 2 chapters. Can I get through 2 chapters this week instead of just 1? We'll see. We will see what is up. Hey, what's up, guys? LeMay, Calvin, ML. Great to have all you here in the community. Hopefully we're going to be able to get a solid start to the beginning of the writing week. I believe in us. I think we can do it. So, like I said, I have some high goals for myself in like 2 chapters, and yeah, I'll talk about it once we get into the break. So make sure you stick around for the breaks. We'll chat a little bit more. We'll catch up. I am starting off with my cup of coffee this morning. My morning. It's like the afternoon. I'm like, my morning. The day has just begun. So I'm waking up with some coffee. Hopefully you are as well. I believe in us. I feel like we're really going to be able to make a push today. And this week we have a couple more writing sprints than we normally do, because let's see, this weekend we have the podcast, and then book club launches on March 1st, this Saturday. ML, I'm so glad to have you here, and we're really looking forward to checking out your book. We are very much looking forward to it. So it's going to be really, really great. And I'm sure we'll have more ads running around the community the closer we get and the farther we get through the Right Now chat. All right, my friends. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to, you know the drill. I'm going to throw up some music. We're going to try to get some writing vibes in while we start the first writing sprint. Super simple at 25 minutes. As you can see, I already have my writing stuff set up here. I'm going to have to hop into my outline. You guys can see that. Let's see. So while I finally finished my last chapter, I finally finished the last chapter I was on, like finally. Let's see, how far am I? Book 1, book 2, and The Edge. So it's kind of interesting. I finally finished the Cannibal arc, which was chapters 17 and 18, or not 18. Chapters 16 and 17 was the Cannibal arc. A Wilted Muck. So this is another standalone obstacle chapter. And then this will be a recovery chapter to really introduce gore. So I have 2 more chapters before we start heading towards the midpoint. The big midpoint, the Colosseum, is I think about 10 chapters, and it's like a very, very long story arc. So yeah, the midpoint is great. Who doesn't want to watch? Who doesn't want to read about 30 to 50 different animals being thrown together in this Colosseum and being forced to fight each other to the death, because the Lands of the Last is a fun world for all of its inhabitants, I'm sure. So I'm going to probably get into my outline as I'm preparing for this next chapter. I'll catch back up with you at the break. So let's get into it. We're going to do daily writing sprint 1 of 3, and I am all ready. So whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, that's all part of the process. Come join us. Because it's time to write now. All right, and that is the writing sprint number one. Congrats, my friends. I feel like I was in a pretty good spot that time. I'm actually pretty happy with how that came out. I was like, interesting. Yeah, so like I was asking myself how I felt about that writing sprint that time, and I didn't get too much into the writing, so I'm at a new chapter right now, and it's actually really interesting. So this next chapter that the characters are embarking upon, Scarecrow, Crow, and our pixie, Pebble. This is a standalone chapter. So this is a standalone obstacle that really has to solidifies their connection with each other and further establishes them beyond just being companions and the potential for some types of friends at the end of the world. So and the way this is explored is they in the last chapter they fell into a river, a stream of some type that swept them away. They actually got carried away into this giant lake of muck. They got carried away into this giant lake, which I'm calling muck, cross between water and mud. And this substance is secreted by a character called the wilted sunflower, which essentially any character who touches it gets pulled into a dream state. It's a shared dream universe or a shared dream plane. Um, yeah. And a decision I made because I know I've talked about dreams and I've talked about dream theory for a little while. I know we've touched upon it, right? On readers liking dreams or don't liking dreams. I'd love to hear from everyone in the chat. How do you feel about dreams in your storytelling? Like, it's kind of interesting for me because I'm like, okay, I had a couple standalone dreams earlier in the novel, and I think what I've determined is a lot of these dreams, I think I'm going to have all of these things happening in another single world. I think it's going to be like another alternate plane of existence, a dream type world that initially the reader's going to believe like, okay, they're just dreams, but then this chapter will be the first hint that there's another type dream type world, but it's only connected to this character. And I think the overarching idea of this alternate dream world won't really be more prevalent until later in the series. But right now, I want the reader to have this knowledge of, oh, there's such thing as a shared dream state because these characters get trapped. Yeah, so I'm super fascinated about it. I'm like thinking through logistically. And then that's why I had to plot out because I think the chapter that I have, the rough draft, is sound, but I'm kind of thinking through how I want it to feel. So let's see. Let me hop into the chat. You guys can tell when I start getting into the writing vibe, I kind of just lose track of the world. So I had to get the planning in there. Maggie, I saw you hop in. Welcome, my friend. Let's see. And Shannon, I know you mentioned that you're doing your Kickstarter. That is so cool. Anybody who loves, would you say it was? I think Epic Fantasy. Yep, epic fantasy series, A Curse of Wings and Gems. SD literally just launched her Kickstarter today launched the Kickstarter campaign today. So you guys should definitely go check it out. SD is definitely a really great writer. So highly recommend. Let's see. And then what else do we got here as I play a little bit of catch up? Eli, we're actually starting the book. Oh, cool, awesome! I'm glad, Courtney, you called out the book club. I'll talk about the book club in just a bit. Hey, what's up, Tosh? Welcome to the stream. Always love to see fellow Twitch writers over here. Welcome. I know this is a new studio that we're playing around with, and I'm kind of getting used. I'm playing around with different timers. I had like a traditional one, but yeah, I don't know what I like yet. So I guess I'm like, all right, come back to the stream and don't remember that writing sprint over. Awesome. Sounds like we got some great progress here. Calvin, 500 words in. I was like, I didn't get any words written. I got 500 ideas. Does that count? 500 ideas. I'm like, yeah. But brainstorming is part of it. Hey, what's up, Cody? Welcome to the stream, my friend. You're like, what application website do you use to stream? Great question. So I've now streamed for 423 days as of today, 423 consecutive days. The first full year, I used the StreamYard platform. I recently switched over a couple weeks ago to a new platform called EVMux. I'm still kind of testing it out. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I was just tired of StreamYard because of StreamYard's price hike. And then in addition, I wanted more flexibility and more things to do. EVMux, I like that I can have like the things like the chat on the side, which is super cool. So that way all the communities, regardless of what social media platform you're coming on, feel like it's one chat, one conversation, which was important to me. So I'm liking that. Sometimes there's a little bit of glitchiness, but I'm still feeling it out if it's like, okay, is it me or is it the server? So, it's a good learning experience, but great question. Hey, what's up, Susan? I saw you hop into the chat. Let's see, as I talk about, let's see. Oh, ML, nice. 203 words, my friend. Great work. Let's see. And then my dream sequence question. So you're like, I have a good dream/nightmare sequence. And yeah, so once again, how do you guys feel about dream sequences? I should probably just throw this up as a Q&A on the YouTube thing. Because I would love your guys' feedback. Let's see, start Q&A. How do you feel about dream sequences? Or I'll put like dream/nightmares, good nightmare sequences. It's been a little while since I've touched upon it. And the last time I had a dream sequence, it was because it was a standalone. It was just like a standalone dream that I wanted to do a little bit of character development. But this time, now that I'm at a chapter where it's fully about a dream sequence, I kind of have to think through the integration with dreams and this like alternate dream reality. And I think I want all of it to be interconnected. I'm like, the more I think about it, I think I do want it to be interconnected. I never want to surprise the reader and have the reader not understand it's a dream. And I mean, like that can work as a storytelling mechanic, but that's not a storytelling mechanic that I want to use. I want the reader to be fully aware it's a dream, but I don't want them to be aware that it is a dream, an alternate dream like reality. It's kind of going to be hinted at in this chapter I'm working on, but because it's not something that's really going to be more explored in depth till later in the series. Eli, you're like, I like having dreams. I don't see any reason to leave dreams out of writing. It's a pretty big part of our lives. I agree. I think the problem is the way writers leverage dream sequences is very easily misused a lot of the time. So then it creates this idea, right? If you read a scene and something really cool happens, and then the character wakes up, and then you're like, oh, well, none of that mattered. And I think that's what happens a lot because writers don't employ dream sequences effectively. They employ dream sequences to do cool things, but they don't employ them effectively for either character development, plot, or world building. And that has become a huge problem with leveraging dream sequences in storytelling. SD. So like, I want dreams to be more than dreams. I love how Robert Jordan used dreams as another realm. I've done a similar thing in my series, except it's more like an out-of-body experience. Yeah, and I mean, anyone who's a Wheel of Time fan, I absolutely loved the idea of, I was like, I don't know if I can say it correctly, Talarian Riyadh. Like, oh God, I don't even know how to pronounce it. But the Wheel of Time series employed an entirely alternate dream reality, which is basically like an existence where characters could hop in and out of. And I asked myself if I wanted to create something like that, where it's still like an other reality. I think I want to go in that direction, but I'm asking myself, like, okay, if I do an other dream universe, reality, whatever you call it, how do I do it differently? Right? Because if I'm going to do something, I want to do it differently. That feels like it feels like with storytelling, you want to deliver the reader something that feels similar, but different. Right? So that way they're like, oh, this is super cool. I love that you called out Wheel of Time, Shannon. That was awesome. Hey, what's up, Ava? Welcome, my friend. Just talking about dreams. yeah, guys, definitely go follow SD over on Kickstarter if you haven't already. Go support her as a backer. Let's see, SD. Like people can be pulled from their dreams into these realms, and if their body is moved, their spirit might not find their body again. Yeah, I kind of saw. I think we saw that with I think Avatar, Last Airbender. I'm pretty sure used that where it's not dream, it's like spirit realm. And I think I've seen that model used before. Absolutely. Thanks, Ava. Yeah, you know what? Still getting used to the new setup, but I think I love that everyone can see the chat on the screen. So, this is a good question. So, Maggie, you're like, has Scarecrow had a dream before? So, yes, very short. So how far am I into the novel right now? I am probably about 35, probably about 35 to 40% of the way into the novel. Yeah, it's them about 35 to 40%. How many dream sequences has happened? I want to say that I believe I've done 2 dream sequences and they've been very short. They've been like less than a page. They were really for character development, but I didn't want them to be anything big, but I needed to do some foreshadowing and character development for Scarecrow's backstory. So there have been 2 dream sequences, and I think in the next revision, I think I'm going to layer on a foreshadow for this, for something to do with this wilted sunflower, this character who's in this dream world. I think I'm going to do some type of foreshadow to suggest to the reader that there's something off about the dreams. But I do try to make it obvious that it's a dream from the get go. So this is technically the 3rd dream sequence, but now the dream sequences are layered on back to back with each other. Not only that, this chapter is the first chapter in the book where I explore the other character POVs outside of Scarecrow. This is the first chapter in the book, like I said, about 35 to 40% of the way into the novel. So I'd say about 35%, where I explore the other 2 character POVs. I have Scarecrow's POV, and then his 2 supporting characters. We explore Crow's POV, and then Pebble's POV, the pixie. And this was done very intentionally because I transition it in a way where it goes from Scarecrow to Crow to Pebble. Because I wanted to do a little bit of character development, but I wanted the reader to get a taste of, oh, okay, I get to kind of explore these other characters' heads, and it's very brief. Because in the next arc, in the next story arc, which leads up to the midpoint, all the characters get separated, and then the reader is forced to be in a couple different character POVs because they're separated from Scarecrow. So I almost kind of wanted to use this as like a sneak peek to get the reader used to a couple other character POVs. That's a good point. Scarecrow had a dream before or a waking hallucination? I'd say it's a dream. Yeah, I would say that they would probably be closer to a dream, realistically. The first dream happened while he was sleeping. The second dream happened while he was put into a trance-like state when they were trapped in the gardens. And by the other, which is interesting, there's two crazed wildflowers. There's the golden sunflower and then the wilted sunflower. Both of them were brought to life as a result of magic being unleashed into the world. The golden sunflower traps traps characters like a siren through music, and then animals get transformed. The wilted sunflower, who is the brother, traps animals and creatures through this this muck like thing that it excretes into a dreamlike state. It's not important to the reader in the first book that the characters are close, but it's going to be interesting. They're like, oh, another sunflower. I definitely want them to contrast. Courtney, you're like, I think my issue with dreams is that I don't ever remember mine, and it makes me feel wrong. Yeah, I mean, I think I remember maybe about 30% of my dreams. I was like, yeah, I think last night I had a nightmare, actually. It's actually kind of funny. I was like, I don't actually, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess subjective. Nightmare is subjective. It's actually kind of funny. I don't think I've had a nightmare in a while. Let's see. But even when I have a nightmare, like I don't wake up and I'm like terrified or scared. I just like kind of wake up and I like observe. I'm like, okay, well, what am I actually afraid of? And then I do soul searching. Oh man, Penumbra. You're like, in my books, dreams are dependent on the genre. In contemporary, dreams are memories or manifestations of fear. That's actually a really good point because there's going to be genre expectations depending on how dreams are leveraged. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what modern expectations are for dream sequences. Maybe if one of you guys are a little bit more knowledgeable on that. Like I know how dreams are probably looked at as a result of obviously Wheel of Time, which was clearly a very predominant epic fantasy series. But I'm curious what the average reader thinks or what expectations are in the fantasy genre of dream sequences. Mm, interesting. Like in fantasy, sci-fi, or sci-fan, dreams are more like visions. Yeah, and I mean, I think the way I'm treating dreams in this is I'm treating dreams as a dream, not as a vision, as a dream. Because I want it to feel different than the reality, than the real world. I do want it to feel like it's a different existence. I know, me too. I'm like, I always have adventure dreams that are inspired by my stories or my characters. It's great. I'm like, all right, dreams are the some of the times I get to meet the characters in the real dream. There's definitely been times where I fleshed out a character as a result from a idea I had in a dream, which was cool. Interesting, Maggie. So you're like, have you considered that this is leveraging the dreamscape as a trap? Interesting. Interesting. And I mean, that's exactly what it is, right? So I think the first two times were really pure dream sequences, and the I mean, and maybe I could actually play into the idea. Actually, I could play into something fun. This idea just came to me. I could play into a world where characters don't dream anymore. I could actually do something like that. That's actually kind of interesting. And the reason Scarecrow's been dreaming is because they're closer they're getting to this wilted sunflower's muck is because of this wilted sunflower's ability. Um that actually be interesting. That actually work very well with what I have planned for later in the series. That would actually work very, very well. Penumbra, you're like, if one can be trapped in a dream or hallucination, then it makes it easier to die or be killed without resistance. Yes, 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 yes. I'm like the question I ask myself is if somebody is trapped in the dream for a longer period of time, does their body die? Hmm. I think normally yes. I think normally let me think. So I and when I think about the development of this and now because now I'm like being forced to really do a little bit of world building with this dream reality. And I don't think I have to do too much yet because it's going to be more relevant later in the series. But I think in terms of right now, I think what's interesting to me is a world where creatures actually don't dream anymore, and this is actually a this part is actually an exception based off a magical ability. Um, I don't think. I mean. Hmm, if they're trapped in the dream longer, do they die? Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that one. I was like, what if I have a world where creatures and characters, if they dream, they die because something's adjusted or affected this dream reality. The reason Scarecrow doesn't die is because Scarecrow is a special character. Scarecrow has a special ability to be revealed in the climax. Anybody who's been with me along the journey in the past year, you already know Scarecrow's abilities, but Yeah, there's a reason. But actually, yeah, and I think that would actually play very well. That would actually play very, very well. It's not important to the reader to understand that during the first book. And yeah, I think it in a world where the reason characters don't dream is because if they dream, they don't come back from dreaming. I think one of the magical essences is probably actually corrupted the this dream reality, this dream space. And then the reason Scarecrow comes back is because Scarecrow has a magic ability, essentially. But we're not actually going to have to understand that till later in the series. So then, if Scarecrow and okay, so yeah, so I think that can work. And then essentially what the wilted sunflower, this lake of muck, essentially what it's done is it kind of creates this like bubble, this kind of like sphere within the dream world where the characters are basically, it's interesting because it's almost like they're shielded from the effects. If I go this thing where if creatures enter this dream reality, they die. They don't wake up, then this wilted sunflower's ability essentially traps creatures in this kind of like bubble, this like space within the dream world where the creatures don't die immediately. I think essentially their energy is probably being absorbed by the wilted sunflower, so it's probably an energy consumption. In the overarching dream world, characters die. In the wilted sunflower's ability, he's able to exist in the dream world without dying, and then also have other creatures exist without dying, because instead of dying, their energy is basically drained into him, so that way he can be sustainable. Yeah, so it's almost like he's like a dream parasite. That's essentially, this wilted sunflower is like a dream parasite. Oh, I love that. You guys have some great ideas. Ooh, Maggie, that's actually really interesting. You're like, in Relic of Time War, I have a spider that its venom works as a hallucinogenic. The victim is happy to be in the trap and doesn't resist dying. Mm. Courtney, you asked a great question. It's like, but if they don't dream, wouldn't Scarecrow be confused and scared? I think. Mm, I I think if a character like Pebble or Crow dreamed, they would be more confused or scared because they've been living in this reality. Scarecrow, we have to remember, Scarecrow woke up, or Scarecrow came into existence. Those are the two plot points that is uncertain at this point in the story. So Scarecrow doesn't know the difference between what a dream is or what it isn't. So he just takes that for granted, because he doesn't know. He doesn't understand anything. Um, what he is more focused on what he is dreaming about, because he wants to remember who he is. So for that reason, I don't think he would be confused or scared of a dream because he doesn't understand. Do scarecrows dream of electric crows? That sounds like that should be a quote, Maggie. I love that. It sounds like I should have that as a quote. uh, Scarecrows, SD, like scarecrows have nightmares of fire crows. I feel like that would probably be like, yeah, that would definitely be a nightmare. Let's see, Eli, this is a great question. So, is the wilted sunflower like the lotus eaters? Do they know they're trapping others, or that they themselves are trapped, or is it like a sad thing in which we should feel bad for the sunflower? It is so. Do I want the character? Do I want the reader to empathize with the wilted sunflower? Hmm. Do I want them to empathize with the wilted sunflower? I want the reader to be amused by the wilted sunflower. The wilted sunflower, like a lot of these characters that pop up in the world, they have both positive and negative traits. The wilted sunflower is very aware that they trap creatures and animals in their dreams, because the wilted sunflower believes that the world sucks, which the world does suck, and that the creatures and animals will live a happier existence in the dream world. The wilted sunflower is probably forgotten that they kill animals and creatures who are trapped in the dream for too long. Um, so it's kind of like a hit or miss. It's kind of like a little bit of both, right? They want to save creatures from the existence, which sucks to be in this world, but they kill creatures who are trapped in their bubble for too long. But technically, they've also kind of creatures who get pulled into their dream world can kind of survive the dream world for a longer period of time if the entire dream world is basically cursed. So, but that's a great question. I mean, basically, when Scarecrow, Pebble, and Crow, when they wake up and they're flying away, you have the wilted sunflower who is basically just like swimming through this like lake of muck, kind of just like singing aloud to himself and very much kind of like in his own crazed state. He lets them go because he's just like existing in a sense. So he's more like a neutral character. He's like a neutral parasite. I would say the wilted sunflower is a neutral parasite with a very intense ability. A very intense ability that's explored more in depth later in the dream. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So it's almost like he's a little bit of a spider. The wilted sunflower is a bit of a spider in a sense, actually. I think that's a great way to frame it. This is an interesting idea. So the sunflower's muck bubble is like a tube flower, offering nectar dreams to keep the flowers close. Um, it's like so. I think the best way to explain it is that the wilted sunflower excretes muck from its body. It excretes muck to such an extent that it's basically where it goes, it's basically formed an entire lake that's actually really like taking over this part of the forest. Any animal that touches the muck is basically pulled into this stream state. The longer the animal is in the muck, if they are touching it directly, over time their body is absorbed and they become part of this muck, this kind of like parasite. It's almost like another host, actually. It's like a spider that's a host, which is interesting because it's similar in idea to the golden sunflower that pulls people into a trance-like state through song and music, like a siren. So like the golden sunflower is like the siren of the siren or like a siren, whereas the wilted sunflower is like a spider. It's almost like a spider parasite. But I mean, essentially they're both parasites to certain extents. And I think that's what's so interesting about it. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting idea. It's like even if you were confused and scared of a dream, what would that change? Not saying that's a bad idea. I just don't know how it would affect the story. Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't think the characters have to fear the dream. I think Pebble and Crow will probably might I'm probably going to have to touch upon it because the end of this chapter actually is going to introduce our next major character, which is Gore the grizzly bear. Um, and originally, I didn't introduce the next. So we have four main characters in this act of the story. We have Scarecrow, Crow, Pixie, and then Gore the grizzly bear. Originally, I introduced Gore a little later in the story. I realized to make him a little bit more predominant, I needed to have him introduce him in a standalone sequence. So Scarecrow, Crow, and Pix and Pebble are trapped in this dream sequence. They're actually going to see hints of Gore in this dream state as well. Gore is on a quest to find his true love because he doesn't remember who it is that he's looking for. Gore it carries a bag of maps with him and is constantly writing maps to try to remind himself what he is looking for. He doesn't know what he's looking for other than that he's looking for true love. He doesn't even understand what true love means anymore. None of the characters actually really understand what love means, which is intriguing. They actually end up saving Gore at the end of this chapter because Gore also got trapped in this lake of muck. So that's how I actually decided to introduce the grizzly bear character because after this Lake of Muck arc, the characters have a resting point, and then they get pulled into the next story arc, which is like 10 chapters, and that leads to the midpoint. The next 10 chapters are very much focused on the Coliseum of the last story arc, which is crazy. It's crazy. Oh my god, it's so crazy. Oh, so much craziness. Hey, what's up, Rachel? I saw you pop in. Welcome, my friend. We're just talking about dream theory, dream muck. I was kind of asking everybody what they thought about dream sequences, because I'm kind of talking through this like dream, this plot point that I'm developing. Interesting. So, Clan, you're like, I only like dream sequences if the plot comes out of it changed. Interesting. So not if the character comes out changed, but only if the plot changes. That's interesting. I was like, yeah, I mean, definitely out of does the plot change after this chapter? What's interesting is this chapter doesn't affect the plot of the first book. This chapter is a very heavily character development plot while also introducing gore. So you could technically argue that it introduces a new character at the very end of it. It actually affects the plot of the overarching series a little bit more, which is actually kind of interesting when you talk about it like that. Eli, that's exactly what I was thinking. We all know Scarecrow's dream of the definition of isosceles triangles. It's kind of funny. You know what, Maggie? That's actually really interesting. One of my favorite movies of all time is Inception. And I know there's a whole thing that's explored with dreams of like drug addicts wanting to live in the dream, kind of like a drug. That's actually a really interesting idea. And that's not something that I explore at all, but that's just an interesting idea. Hmm. I think later in the series. So is there a reason that people would go back to the wilted sunflower after escaping it, like an addict wanting to return to the high end numbness of being intoxicated? I actually really like that. I think how I'm going to explore that is because when creatures get trapped in it, they generally don't escape. The reason that the characters escape in this one is actually because of Scarecrow inherently, because Scarecrow has an ability that actually allows them to rise above it, but he's not going to understand why until we get to the climax of the book. So but I'm going to actually touch upon that in the next down point chapter with Crow wanting to return to the dream. It's interesting because of all the characters, Mr. Crow seems the most easily susceptible. He's the only one who's still kind of humming the melody from the golden sunflower and feeling like he wants to go back to digging holes. He's going to be the only one who feels like, oh, he wants to go back to the Lake of Muck, which that's actually going to be a really great plot point. And it's because of his character journey that he's gone through. He's become more susceptible to these types of world effects because of what has happened to him, which is explored a little later in the novel. But I absolutely love that. Rachel, like, I despise the parasite thingy. But this yeah, actually, I mean, wilted sunflower like isn't supposed to look like a night like the golden sunflower was supposed to look like beautiful, like radiant, vibrant. Wilted sunflower is like a crippled, decayed looking version of the sunflowers. What's up, Tiara? We're just talking about dream theory. And Hotspot JL. Welcome, my friends. So, welcome to the stream, everybody who's just hopping in. I see some new faces. We're just chatting about dream theory, nightmare theory, because I'm obviously generating this world for the Last Scarecrow. And by the way, let's take a quick moment. If you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. I'm here every day with the Right Now community, 423 consecutive streams and counting. If you're looking for daily writing motivation, if you're looking for author interviews, our podcast, the critique stream, what I'm like, there's literally so much. We are just about to launch our Read Now book club. We'll be doing the Faded Fantasy Fiction Contest in the spring, and much more. If you need daily writing motivation, accountability, or just a community that really cares about the writing process, then this is the community to be a part of. So make sure to tap that follow or subscribe button, and you'll be alerted when we go live. All right, so I feel super great about that. Yeah, this is a good question. You're like, not to get too off track, but what is life like in the world of the Last Scarecrow? Do creatures there have to eat? Is there any way he could survive without parasitizing the gang? I'm just thinking of Bernadette. Yeah. So, what is life like in the world of the Last Scarecrow? It's not a kind world to be a part of. I would not want to live in the world of the Last Scarecrow. So, the world of the Last Scarecrow, they're called the lands of the last. Essentially, it's a world that's very much traumatized by severe weather effects. When it snows, it rains fire. When it thunderstorms, thunder comes from the ground and strikes everything. It's like world effects like that. Um, we're kind of at the end of the world, which is why it's a post-apocalyptic world where surviving, most of the animals that are still alive are the last of their kind. The animals that are still alive have to form tribes and groups to survive. And the only things that can really protect animals, creatures, or beasts in this world is either certain magical abilities or certain artifacts. How creatures eat. A lot of magic abilities require a consumption of energy. So they don't have to eat per se. A lot of creatures don't have to eat, but they have to consume energy in some way, shape, or form, which is why it's a very like survival of the fittest type world. There is a single type of food that exists in the world. I forgot what it's called, but it's kind of like a superfruit. It's like a superfruit that exists that resulted from the creation of magic that basically can sustain animals, creatures, and beasts for very long periods of time. I haven't explored it quite yet. The characters are going to probably touch upon it when I get a little closer to the midpoint. But yeah, there's like a single food source because most of the food source in the world has basically died and perished. So, but that's a really great question, Eli. Yeah, the Lands of the Last is just not a good world. This is I really wanted the start of the series to really explore a world where the reader doesn't know it, but this is the world is in this state because of magic. This is really what the consequence of magic. It was basically the death of us, society, and the world. So now the survivors have to deal with the consequences of it, and all of the things that the characters experience, all of the characters from the first demon, the nothingness, and everything that happens throughout the series is either a consequence or a benefit as a result of magic, which is why the series is called a Dawn of Magic series. It's very intentional, and that's what the overarching story is about. As a fantasy writer, I love magic so much. So I wanted to tell a story that really challenges what we think a magic system is and really explores contrasting magical systems. I thought that was really important to me. Great question, Eli. Maggie, you're like, sunflowers are invasive weeds. Don't trust the sunflowers. Yeah, I do not trust either of these sunflowers. They're not, neither of them are kind. One sunflower is a siren and pulls you into a dream where you basically get turned into a vegetable. And then the wilted sunflower pulls you into this lake of muck where you get trapped in a dream and you basically die. You basically become a muck. Oh man, nice, Esty. You hit your Kickstarter goal already. That's incredible. You like just launched your Kickstarter. What was that, today? Like, so awesome, my friend. That's really, really cool. I'm gonna have to learn from you if I end up doing a Kickstarter, like what worked for you. That's really awesome, my friend. Congrats. What a huge accomplishment. That also must go to show that you probably have a really good book on your hands too. You probably have a really dedicated pre-existing fan base, because I believe you said this is part of your series, and then you're just clearly doing some things right with the Kickstarter. So that's really awesome. I mean, they have an entire movie series about fearing dreams. Oh, Friday the 13th. Or not Friday, Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger. Nightmare on Elm Street. Yep. It's a fun horror movie, by the way. Yeah, so I think the way that I'm going to explore it with dreams is I think that creatures just don't dream. I think the inhabitants of the world just do not dream in general because of the because of how because this dream world has essentially been corrupted. I'm probably going to have to define certain reasons why characters would have a nightmare, because then if they have a nightmare or a dream, they don't wake up, which adds to that creepy ambiance of the world that you're not safe in the real world and you're not safe in the dream world either. Hey, what's up, Natalie? I saw you hop into the stream. Interesting. JL, I never actually saw American Gods, but that's interesting. Sunflower slowly absorbing you in a dream state reminds me of Bilquis from American God. She puts men in a state of bliss, then consumes them, absorbing their energy. Moth to flame kind of thing. Yeah, kind of like the siren idea. That's interesting. Does time change, as in the Percy Jackson lotus flower? That's actually a good question. I actually haven't read Percy Jackson, and I haven't seen the series. It's been on my to read / watch list. It's something I'll check out eventually, because I'll enjoy that those types of reading sometimes. Yeah, so you'd have to explain what that how time changes in the Percy Jackson series. Ooh, what an interesting deep dive, Maggie. Like, if sunflowers are representative of maiden, golden, and crone, wilted, who is mother? Ooh, that's actually interesting. What an interesting idea. Um, it's an interesting idea. Technically, their mother is actually one of the technically. And technically the golden sunflower and the wilted sunflowers mother is technically the one of the essences of magic, because that's what brought them into existence. They were originally they were originally normal sunflowers. They were given sentience and these magical abilities as a result of actually a couple magical essences which were warring against each other. So that's why they have very unique abilities, because their abilities are a result of a couple of different elements of contrasting, which is actually very interesting. Who is their mother? They consider their mother. Technically, the golden sunflower considers the moon their mother, while the wilted sunflower considers the sun their mother. They consider the planets to be their mothers. Their actual mothers are the essences, but that's who they consider to be their mothers. Hey, what's up, Marta? Welcome to the stream, my friend. We're having a great conversation about dream theory. Yeah, Eli. I'm just saying, you got to do what you got to do to survive. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of those like worlds where that's basically how creatures have, right? And that's why, as scarecrows exploring this world, they come into these societies or these small tribes where creatures have basically had to interact with it, have basically had to figure out how to survive. Hence why Scarecrow, Pebble, and Crow literally just escaped a village of cannibals, right? Because the cannibals are led by this Dr. Fox, who basically brings these objects into existence, gives them sentience, but the only way for them to sustain is they have to consume things. They believe that the reason that they're alive is because of a fire god. So, yeah, that's it. It really explores a lot of a lot of the tribes in the lands of the last are very like they're very much tribes. There's no society. It's all just a bunch of different tribes that exist. And I really wanted the different tribes that we experience throughout this Last Scarecrow, the book one, to really contrast against each other. I mean, so far we've dealt with the Golden Sunflowers tribe, the siren type nature. We've now experienced Dr. Fox and his tribe of cannibals. The next tribe, which is really we're really going to be seeing two tribes, which we explore throughout the midpoint, is the Tiger King's tribe and then the Wolf King's tribe, which are they're a little bit more normalized for a reason, but they very much sustain on brutality and violence. Thanks so much, Holistic. I really appreciate that. I can talk about the Last Scarecrow forever, but like I love the world and I love the world building aspect of it. And I know the question I always ask myself is how much of the world am I exploring in book one that is necessary to the plot and the character development of Last Scarecrow? Because I'm going to explore all of it throughout the series, but it's just like in what increment do I want to explore it? Because world building is absolutely important, but not as important as plot or character development. When I think of order of priority, I personally believe character development should be priority number one, plot should be priority number two, and then world building should be priority number three in that order. I know. I totally got lost. You're like sprint. I got. We need to go back to writing. Oh man, you guys pulled us. What a great conversation. So Maggie, you are absolutely right. Let's get back into our writing sprint. I was like, our 7-minute break turned into like a 30-minute break. But thank you guys all. This has been a great conversation. We'll chat a little bit more on our next break. And because we did a little bit longer on that. Let's make our next sprint longer to make up for it. So the first sprint was 25 minutes. Let's see what time. Wow. All right, it's 1:20. We're at 1:20. So let's do I really need to make progress on this. So the next sprint, we're going to do longer. We're going to do a 45-minute sprint because I have to make progress on this chapter. So you guys got a longer conversation chat break. Now we're going to do a longer writing sprint. I feel pretty good about that decision. So we'll do that. Yeah. And then let's see what else. Yeah, I mean, I think I feel pretty good. I mean, I guess I should probably do a quick ad for the book club. Once again, we're launching our next Read Now book club, or not the next. We are launching the first Read Now book club this coming weekend. I'm so excited about it. Let's see. I should pull up the stuff. So, for those of you who don't know, we announced it on the stream yesterday. Let's see. I have to find where I put the stuff. Awesome. So we are officially launching the Read Now book club this Saturday, March 1st is the beginning of the book club. I was like, let me throw that up. Here we go. So launching the Read Now book club. I was like, there we go. We'll just do that. So the Read Now book club is going to be super awesome. We're launching this Saturday with the first book. We have a bunch of other co-hosts. We have Courtney, Tiara, Laura Nettles, Adrian over with Books by Adrian. The 5 of us are co-hosting this really cool new Read Now book club. And yeah, it's going to be a great experience. This is how the layout's going to work. For anybody who wants to know how is the Read Now book club going to be different, this is a book club for writers. This is a book club for writers, which is very uncommon for book clubs. The way it works out, we will pick a genre each month. After we pick the genre, the community gets to suggest books within that genre. The co-hosts, we will choose the top 6 books. The community will vote on which book they want to read for the next month. In the middle of the month, there's an author interview that will be exclusive to the author of the book that we will be interviewing. The end of the month will be the live stream discussion where the co-hosts all come together and we chat about what did we like and what didn't we like about the book. The goal of this book club is for us to learn from other writing styles, for us to read our own genre that we like and also read outside of our genre so we can grow as writers. It is a very, very cool experience. And like I said, March 1st is where it begins. Let me pull up the links. Perfect. So for anybody who wants to become a member, we have created a handy dandy form. I'll drop that down in the chat. I should probably have that in the YouTube chat, actually, now that I think about it. For anybody who wants to become a Read Now Book Club member, I just dropped the form down in the chat. So just go fill out the form. That will just let us know just a couple of particulars who's interested in joining us. And then the first book that we're going to be reading for the month of March, we already picked the book for March because we wanted to set it off, but we're going to start the voting for the April book in just a couple weeks. Let's see. And then the first book that we're going to be reading in March is by our very own ML Claxon. We're going to be reading Dead Caster, which is a paranormal fantasy book. So it's going to be super cool. We got vampires, hellhounds, I think maybe some romance. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. But very much supernatural. It's going to be very, very cool. And yeah, so Deadcaster is going to be the first book we'll be reading. We'll be kicking it off March 1st. Make sure that if you're not already a Discord member to join us in the Discord, because we're going to be launching a specific Discord channel for us to be able to talk about all the book club stuff. So definitely come join us. I'm super looking forward to this. I always knew that I wanted to do a book club, but I asked myself, how can I do it in a way that benefits the writing experience? So very much looking forward to it all, my friends. All right, my friends. So I wanted to get that in. I was like, yes, I completely agree with you, Maggie. Our like 5-minute, our like 7-minute break turned into a 45-minute chat about dream theory. All right, guys. Let me adjust the timer. Let's get into it. We need to get some writing done. We got a much longer break, so that means we have to do a longer writing session. So, all right, guys, I believe in us. I think we're all going to be able to make some progress. All right, perfect. So I will throw up the music. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, that is all part of the process. Come join us because it's time to write now. right. Writing sprint done. Writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Woo, man, how did that sprint treat you? So we definitely went longer that time. I mean, we definitely got, what was that, like a 45-minute sprint for the second time. And I feel like I was actually really, really good about that. Yeah, I'm really happy with the direction that I got in that one. I'll probably do a little bit of a shorter break this time. Now I know we're definitely at the 2 hour mark. And I know a lot of the writing sprint days, I usually go 2 hours, but I'm feeling on a really good writing vibe. So I'm probably going to take us through one more writing sprint because I want to make some more progress on this chapter. So I'm going to go into one more writing sprint in just a few minutes. But first, how did that last writing sprint treat you? I know we did the first one for 25 minutes, the second one for 45 minutes. And then I'll say how I feel for sprint number 3. Were you able to make any progress that time? Let's see. I didn't get, I like started a good section on writing. I did about 300 words for that. I think I spent the first half of it kind of brainstorming and finalizing what I wanted for the chapter outline. And I had to make a lot of the notes from our dream conversation on the last break for things I needed to make sure I wrote some of those ideas down because there's definitely some great things, great things that could definitely help with that. So I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, so I feel like that. I feel like I was able to get some substantial, some like start to it done, and I was kind of just starting to get into the writing vibe. So I know I'm definitely going to have to like get back into it, which is why I think I can. I think I have the time today to actually do an additional writing sprint. So yes. Let's see, and what do we got? Yeah, Emma, I saw your question here. You're talking about Google Drive and Google Docs, PDF to EPUB in Google. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know I personally would probably just Google and look it up myself. But I've never done it before, so I'm not sure. But there could be other writers in the community who might be able to better support you because I'm just not quite certain about that one. That's a great question. Let's see, Stephanie. I got 14 pages edited. Wonderful. Excellent, excellent. So it sounds like you're making some progress over there. And Calvin, you're like, I got a couple hundred more words in since it got busy at work. Well, that's good. I mean, obviously you have to get work done, right? Clearly we can't just stop working. That's good. You're able to make some progress still. And JL, you're like, I got the additional scene done for my WIP. I was low key dreading it, but it's done. Woo! Yay! Thanks for the motivation. Woo, I'm glad I was able to help just a little bit. Daily writing motivation. That's what we're here for. To try to convince people to write more and just write and finish our storytelling. I love it. Nice, Courtney. Like, I almost finished this dip and chips. Like, I'm working on planning. That totally happens. Sometimes you're like, all right, I'm going to start a writing break, but then you have to make sure you have the right snacks. uh, Stephanie, that's nice. Sounds like you're definitely on a roll. You're like, I only have 26 pages left to edit. That actually sounds like a really good, like you're making some really good progress. I think if I recall correctly, you're always pretty good at making substantial editing progress on your storytelling, which is awesome. Oh yeah, and by the way, ML, with your converting to PDF to EPUB, what I would say is go post a comment in one of the main right now Discord channels and see if somebody on the Discord can help you as well. See if anybody has a little bit of knowledge because I know there's other writers who've probably done it before, but because I haven't had to do it yet with Scarecrow, I haven't had to. And I mean, I even think that when we did the anthology, I'm pretty sure we used Atticus for our formatting. So yeah, because essentially we did a program, but I'm just not sure with formatting. Nice, Penumbra. You're like, I am partway through a Beltane bachelorette party when a clan of ogres surrounded the gathered witches to threaten them. Aunt Gretel of Hansel and Gretel is about to cleave an ogre in half. There you go. That's definitely subverting expectations right there. I love that. I think that's a nice twist. Hmm. Awesome. Good to know. Good to know. Yes. Let's see. All right. So that is awesome. Sounds like we've gotten some good, solid progress on our writing so far, which is pretty cool. And I think I'm probably just going to get back into it. Like I said, normally I keep these I try to cut these off at 2 hours, but I think I'm getting some good progress today. Oh, awesome. Like you posted a link to Calibre. I was like, I don't even know what that is. Calibre? Is that a formatting software? Calibre. Okay, yeah, so it looks like Calibre is another formatting software. Oh, that's cool. And it looks like it's open source, so it doesn't cost, which is cool. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, so ML, it looks like maybe check out Calibre since it's a program and it looks like it's a free to download program. And it looks like it converts ebooks, PDFs to EPUBs. So that might be a good strategy. When I did a quick Google search, it said that you could do ebook conversion on Google Docs, but I've never done it myself. But that was just what a quick AI search led me to. But probably if you did like a program like that, especially if it's free, then it probably walks you through it step by step, I imagine. So that could be a little easier, would be my guess. Awesome. Thanks for that recommendation, Maggie. Really appreciate it. Okay, so with that, let's see, where are we at? All right. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to hop into another writing sprint. I feel pretty good about it because I'm kind of on a roll right now. And it looks like we're going for a 3-hour sprint stream today, but want to make progress. Definitely want to make progress. So let's do it. And yeah, do I want to go? What time is it? 40, 20. Okay. So I don't have time for a full 45 minutes. I have time for 40 minutes. So we'll do a 40-minute sprint. I will do one more. You guys get bonus sprint today, which is awesome. All right. Well, I mean, we all get bonus sprint today. So that's a win for all of us. Daily writing sprint 3 of 3. All right. So I'm going to hop straight back into it. Let's get another daily writing sprint in. Let's try to make some progress on our stuff, really push it. So like we're going hard today. Kauffman's trying to get through these chapters. All right, my friends. So I'm already set up here. I'm going to hop back into this. Let's set this up for 40 minutes. All right. And I think I am all ready. So, whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, that's all part of the process. Come join us because it's time to write now. Wow. Right. We were able to get some work that time. Yes, 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 yes. So I was like, I know, I went like a minute over. I had to finish the last bit of that chapter, or not that chapter of that section. 2, 3. All right. So I was kind of saying, okay, I just had to make sure that I didn't do too much for each section. I I think I like the direction that I've taken the scene. I didn't have to do as much rewriting as it was just revising, so it wasn't anything crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to go back and reread it and make sure that it actually does work because it's a dream sequence, but it's technically a dream sequence trapped in a they're trapped in a shared dream state in a sense. So that was definitely a little bit of a not learning, but I just have to make sure that it works. And I think I fixed the transition. I foreshadowed now the grizzly bear and the antagonist of this chapter, the wilted sunflower. So I'm happy about that. Yeah. So I think that did good. And I think I transitioned more effectively to the next character arc. So how did that writing sprint treat y'all? Were you guys able to make some progress? Hey, what's up, Unknown? I saw Unknown, Janine. Welcome, my friends. I saw you guys hop into the stream. Let's see. Penumbra, Maggie, I like literally just saw that. You're like the crater's beasts roared in the distance, a cacophony blending with explosive thunder. Damn, I like that. That sounds great. Let's see where I was like, where was that? Here, a mixture of cawing, gripping, and hooting. Tiny hands. Where was the crater's beasts? The creator's beast roared in the distance. What do I have? I said the creator's beast roared to life in the distance. I was like, yeah, it doesn't need life. Roared in the distance. A cacophony blending with explosive thunder. Ooh, I like that. That sounds better. Let's see what I had before. The creator's beast roared in the distance, followed by explosions that pierced all sound. Oh, yeah, yours definitely sounds way better. I'm like, that doesn't even sound that great. A cacophony blending with explosive thunder. Thanks, Maggie. That's awesome. That was definitely a great word choice. Yeah, it's when I think about style and I think about sentence structure, I'm in the second draft. I think like when I go through this part of when I'm going through the story, I'm like, if I can think of something cool while I'm writing it, I do. But I never let the idea of like, okay, I have to have my style on it for me to keep writing. So I'm like, my goal is just to get the overall gist of it, and refining what I already have. So like any ideas like that are always welcome. That was actually really cool. The delusion begins. Yeah, Megan, right? You could tell, right? This is that transition into the nightmare aspect of this moment for Scarecrow. Yeah, this is definitely a very clear transition, but I think I made it obvious from the beginning that it is a dream. Once, yeah, I think I did make that obvious that it is a dream. And at first the reader's expecting, oh, okay, he's just going to wake up from a dream, but then it becomes a nightmare and he's still not waking up. And then we had this transition to him seeing Mr. Crow. And which is why the reader's going to then realize probably about 3 pages in that something different is going on than just a dream. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. What's up, Janine? I saw you hop in as well. I got some work done actually this time. I know, right? Sounds like we're being super productive today. I know, 3-hour stream. So clearly we were definitely trying to get in some solid writing in. Thank you guys all for joining me. As we look towards creative writing on the morrow, I'll be back tomorrow with our Right Now Writers group. So make sure to come join us as other writers from the community hop on stream. Do you want to come join us as well? Get a little bit of motivation? Drop a comment or let me know in the Discord and we'll include you on the invite so you can hop on stream with a bunch of other writers and we chat writing craziness and we also try to get some writing done. And if you enjoyed the stream, tap that like button. Help us show the algorithms that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining. Much longer sprint than I anticipated, but some excellent work done today. And it feels like we all got some awesome writing in. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kauffman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers.
Right now.
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 Because it's time to